Hi parents, it's so glad to finally be able to see you. I wish we were doing this in person and I could talk to you more in person. I really am hoping that our relationship can really start out and be defined by working together and working together to do ministry with our students. And so I'm going to start releasing videos every week that encourage and equip you to live out a life of ministry to your students. So these first three videos, we're going to focus on the foundations of student ministry and figure out what really is the bottom layer of the pyramid of student ministry. What is the most basic elements and where does student ministry start? This first video, we're actually going to be focusing on the in-home dynamic, the family dynamic, because I believe this is where the Bible tells us all student ministry must start. So this week we're going to look at Ephesians chapter 5. And oftentimes when we think of Ephesians chapter 5, we think of weddings. We hear it all the time at weddings, we hear it all the time in premarital counseling, and we hear it all the time talked about in marriage, and we oftentimes forget that this passage is so much more than just marriage. It includes family and children as well. Ephesians 5, starting in verse 22. Wives, submit yourselves to your own husbands as you do to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit to their husbands in everything. Husbands, love your wives just as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, to make her holy, cleansing her by the washing with water through the word, and to present her to himself as a radiant church, without stain or wrinkle or any other blemish, but holy and blameless. In the same way, husbands ought to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. After all, no one ever hated their own body, but they feed and care for their body, just as Christ does the church, for we are members of this body. For this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and the two will become one flesh. This is a profound mystery, but I am talking about Christ and the church. However, each one of you must also love his wife as he loves himself, and the wife must respect her husband. And we hear that before. Next come the I do's, and pretty much that means I won't read this passage ever again. Oftentimes we don't come back and visit this. We don't think it ends right there. Ephesians 5, boom, there's our marriage. But it continues. Listen to this imagery of Christ and his church continue in chapter 6. Listen to this. Children, obey your parents in the Lord, for this is right. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with a promise, so that it may go well with you and you may enjoy a long life on earth. Fathers, do not exasperate your children. Instead, bring them up in the training and instruction of the Lord. Did you catch it? Youth ministry, primarily at its core, is a family matter. It is a family issue, and it starts in the home. It has to start in the home. The image spelled out here in Ephesians chapter 5 and chapter 6 is this. Christ loves his church so much, and they're so united that as the church and Christ are united, they will naturally reach out to the ends of the earth. They'll reach out and breathe life into what was not living. They'll take what was not living and create life, and in that life they will raise it up in the instruction of the Lord. They'll train it to love Jesus. Isn't that our story? The church should be doing this. The church does this. And that's the image that Christ is painting of our families, is as the husband and wife come together, they're so united, they should be creating life and training that life to love and to know Jesus. Guys, this image is so much bigger than just husband and wife. It includes the family. It's so rich and it's so beautiful and it's so oriented in the gospel of Jesus Christ. Now, before I make you think that my job is completely useless, next week we will focus on what is my responsibility in this. If youth ministry primarily is a family matter, what is my role as a servant in the local church? What is my role in youth ministry? And so I can't wait to talk about that more next week. I can't wait to see how you guys process and pray with the material from this week. Remember, Christ has chosen you to shape the souls of your children. It is a beautiful task. It is so rich and so beautiful. God bless you all.